This is a true story of a baby girl born into a family where she would never know a normal childhood. It started at 3 years old and ended when she was 15. But emotionally and mentally, this is something she will have to live with forever. Let's talk about it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, subbies. What me wagon is them? Wagwan, everybody. Hope you are doing well. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and gonna have a great start to the week. If this is your first time coming to this channel, please stop, subscribe, click on the notification bell, click all so that when I drop a video, you get the call. So hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a real life story on a lady that has survived SA abuse when she was a child. She was a victim turned abuser turned survivor. Next, you're gonna hear her voice as she shares her story in hope that it will help other victims to speak out, seek help, and receive justice. Guys, drop a comment below what you think of this story. For me, after listening to her, it made me wonder how mothers sit back and let these things happen. I just don't understand. The perpetrator's the perpetrator, but the mother's actions takes my breath away. And in this story, it makes me wonder, was this lady mummy's gift to daddy? This story shows you enabling, a mother enabling at the highest degree. It shows you what goes on behind closed doors. It shows you when a mother decides to stay with a perpetrator against her, who's perpetrating against her children in her home. It shows you that where a blind eye has been turned, where the perpetrator can be a danger to other people's children, it shows you how a victim can turn into an abuser. Did the mother know? Did she know? Comment below. She must have known. And this, it not only makes her an enabler, it makes her a perpetrator too. This is an essay story of the highest degree. When you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Next, you're gonna hear the victim's voice telling you her story. And I'll warn you, it's a very, very sad story. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll be back soon with another video. I'm out.
3 when my mom would ask me to come into the bedroom, and it would be this game that we would play. Are you sleeping tonight, Mom? Is what I would ask. I would say, Mom, are you sleeping tonight? And if my mom was sleeping tonight, I would take my underwear off and sleep naked too. But if my mom was sleeping with clothes on, I would put my clothes on, and they would play this game with me back and forth. I would lay in bed beside them, and he would touch me in my sleep and right beside my mother. I don't know if she knew at that moment. It was scary. But when I was around 5, he started to come into my room by himself, and every night, lots of nights. And he started performing oral sex on me, and I instantly liked it. Like, I liked the feeling of it. It felt good. I was like, oh wow, this is love. You know, he told me that this is what all dads and daughters do. I thought he was my real dad, so it seemed like normal and just like what was supposed to happen. When the sexual abuse started, I was being given chocolate bars when he would come into my room at night. And then I remember around 8 or 9 years old, my mom walking in on it. The image I have is her standing at the door with her big eyes, big giant blue eyes, and I just remember her standing there staring and then walking away. He would come into my room and sexually abuse me about 3 to 5 times a week. 90% of the sexual abuse that my stepdad put me through was performed on me. And so, because I liked how it felt, it created this dynamic where I would say, with that game that I was telling you about, that I would say, can you come into my room tonight, Dad? I'm sleeping tonight. And that developed a control problem for me. I feel like I need control of everything. I need control of every situation in my life. And that's really when my problem with control developed. I was taught to hide the sexual abuse from my mother because it made her jealous and it made her angry. Oh yeah, it was scary to, like, she was a very angry woman, very angry when I was growing up. Like, a lot of abuse, like physical abuse on her part. That was kind of his way of manipulating me as well. Like, if your mother finds out, we're gonna get in trouble. You know, there were times when my grandparents would walk in the door and she would be hitting me, and they would just walk out because it was so normalized in my family. My mom walked in and caught him when I was around 8 or 9, and he was on top of me in that moment. And I remember her looking at me, and it wasn't the same after. She walked right out, and it wasn't the same. I remember a lot of jealousy after that, a lot of name calling. My stepdad was never convicted of sexually assaulting my siblings, but he was convicted of sexually assaulting multiple other children. My friends growing up. I was having sex with my brother because it was so normalized in my family, and I thought that was love. I started sleeping in my brother's room often. I felt like maybe safer in there, I think, as a child, so I would ask to sleep in his room a lot of nights, and on the nights that I would sleep in there, I would show my brother the things that my stepdad was teaching me. You know, the age of 8 and 9, and I was trying to get control and staying in bed with my brother. My brother was 2 years younger than me at the time. I held a lot of guilt for that, because I felt like I introduced him to something that I was introduced to. Around 15, when I finally told my stepdad no, is when it kind of ended with my brother. I wanted to stop it with my brother because I said to I just felt it was wrong. I just didn't want to do it anymore. I just knew. So I told my brother that I was done with it, and he was mad at me. He was angry at me. And then I moved out. I moved out around 15 years old because I was done. I couldn't live like that anymore. And my stepdad took all of my belongings and threw them on the front lawn because he was mad that I broke up with him. When I was in grade, I don't even know, 4, I had a birthday party, and my stepdad was there, and my really close friends were all there. And one of my close friends came to school the next day and said, Tiffany's dad had her when I sat on his lap. And I flipped. I was like, she's lying. There's no way. He would never do that. In my opinion, he wouldn't have done that to anyone but me. yeah, he had sexually abused her. And then I had another family friend growing up. My stepfather would pick her up and do disgusting acts, and he had sexually abused about 3 of my friends that I know of, and groomed one of my closest friends. When I was born, my stepfather was 19. So when I was 3, my stepfather was around 22, and it continued until I was 15. So he was around 35-ish when it ended. My age. My stepdad had a friend who was a little on the creepy side. He had a friend that I had when I was a teenager. And he was older, and it was definitely sexual abuse. Then when I was 15 or 16, I was drinking a lot, partying a lot, doing a lot of and I got raped twice. Once at a party, and the next couple weeks later at a different party. So when I was 15, I was sick of the abuse, and my aunt lived across the street. So my aunt took me in. And my aunt, was living in poverty and struggling a little bit. And my grandfather paid my aunt for me to live there for a little bit. Then when I was around 15 and a half, 16, I met a 20-year-old boy, and he started to financially support me. And he and I got an apartment in a small community down the street where I finished high school and went to hairstyling school. So when I was 19 years old, I moved back into my stepdad's and my mother's for about 3 months. My stepdad would make advances at me often, and he would the odd time grab or touch if he felt like he could get the opportunity. When I was 19, I met my now husband. We've been together for 16 years, and we got pregnant within 3 months, and I had my first son when I was 20 years old. So I met my husband, within a year, we had a baby. My stepfather was convicted and sentenced to 4.5 years in jail, and he served 3.5 years in jail. So I started sharing my story on TikTok. That was the start of my journey. I just needed to get it off my chest. So I started feeling less alone. And I started meeting with these girls all the time and talking about our trauma, and we had all had the same trauma, and now we have a support group, and we all chat throughout the support group, and we chat over Zoom, and we have meetings for sexual abuse survivors, and it kind of just started like that. And then I met this woman, her name is Iselina, and she's an amazing person. She's a social worker. She messaged me on TikTok, and she said, I see one of your TikToks, and I think you live close to me, and I would like to take you out for dinner. And I was like, free therapy, I can't hurt, right? So I met her, and she has been my rock. She's been the mom I never had, she's a little bit older than me. She's a mom's age to me, and it's just been just life-changing. I share my story to, I would say firstly to be selfish. I was silenced for so long, and it feels so good to just share it. It just feels so good to say it. And secondly, to if I can help one more person, which I've helped many children out of sexual abuse. Any advice I could give to a survivor right now would be to reach out for help. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to ask somebody for your resources. There are people who care. There are people who care. Most people do care. It's only the environment that you're in that doesn't care. I want to work with women. I want to work with women and children, I think. I'd love a women's shelter. I think that could be a big goal for me. And in my long run, in my long future, I see myself maybe fostering teenage girls. When I started telling my story on TikTok, the comment section, and even to this day, the comment section is filled with thank you. I feel less alone. And I feel less alone when I read those comments. I'm like, I know I'm not the only one. I'm like, I know I'm not crazy. This is real in my head. Always when all my family has knocked my truth down, and these people I don't even know validate it. Like, it's amazing and beautiful. So they help me as much as I help them. This is the way I feel. Thank you for listening to my story. If it could help just one person, I feel better. And life is a journey, but it's definitely worth living. It's definitely worth fighting for. And I wish you guys all well, and all of the survivors out there, if you're listening, just know you're not alone, and there's many of us, so don't be scared to come forward and find your community.